In juggling, there are many different types of competitions, ranging from performances, routines, combat juggling, numbers juggling, and more. I'm going to mention some of them and talk about their pros and cons. And yes, these are my opinions. So what makes a competition great? I think the most important thing, as you can see with all big sports, is that it's entertaining to watch. The second one is that it has to be clear what we're actually competing in. And the third is that it has to be authentic and true to its root of the sport or art. Let's start off with one of the most well-known juggling competitions, and that is the IJA World Championship. In the IJ individuals event, jugglers compete against each other by showcasing a 5 to 8 minute act, and it's being scored in difficulty, creativity, execution, entertainment value, and presentation. And out of these 5 categories, the judges will give a score in each category, and the juggler with the highest total score wins. So what's good about this competition? First of all, this competition is really inclusive. If you do hoop, staff, diablo, bounce juggling, or something else regarding manipulation of objects, you can enter. But at the same time, it might be too inclusive. Even though they say that you might get disqualified if the act is not primarily perceived as juggling, I still feel like it's very broad. Kind of the fact that someone with staff can compete against someone with diablo in a juggling competition seems a little bit weird. It's kind of like making LeBron James compete against Messi to see who's best in ball sports. But with that being said, I still think we need the IJ competition. And that's because performing is a huge part of the juggling culture. But as it is now, I feel like this is more a competition to see who's the best performer instead of who's the best performing juggler. Next up, it's IJ's brother, the WJF. The advanced category at the World Juggling Federation's Championship consists of a 5-minute routine, one for each prop, as well as a best trick competition called Freestyle and a numbers competition where you have to juggle for at least twice the amount of catches as objects you're using, as well as a flash with the same amount of throws and catches as the amount of objects you're using. Almost everything in this competition is objective. You know how many points every single trick is worth, and you know how much deduction you're going to get for doing poorly. The competition is also really good at finding out the juggler who can consistently do the most difficult juggling. They really make the jugglers attending focus on pushing their own juggling capabilities. The competitions are often very long in terms of the number of competitors, and in my experience, there isn't really put a lot of attention into making it fun to watch live. On video, after a lot of editing has been done, it's cool, but there isn't enough hype when you're actually in the audience. The competition is also very elite, which might be fitting since it's the World Championship, but I think it's too elite. To even get points in the flashing competition this year, you had to do either 10 balls, 10 rings, or 8 clubs within a 2-minute time period. The deductions during routines are also really harsh, which can easily cost jugglers to end up with 0 points. Even the great juggler Jack Danger, who competed in every single event this year, ended up with 0 points in the ring category because the deductions in the routines were so harsh. And if you got beat by just 3 or more jugglers in the freestyle or the numbers competition, you would be rewarded 0 points, regardless of how good you did it. And also, always having to fly overseas for every non-US citizen and staying in hotels costs a lot of money. The WJF is really good at many things. It has inspired tons of jugglers to improve over the years, and it has shown that juggling can become a sport as well as a form of art. But for now, I think they need to work more towards making the competitions interesting to watch live. They also need to work towards making the competition and the event itself more accessible. Because the WJF needs more competitors. And now for a completely different format, and that is combat juggling. In combat juggling, 2 jugglers juggle 3 clubs each and attack each other to make the opponent drop. If one drops, then the other juggler wins. In many ways, I think combat juggling is one of the best competitions that we have. It's super entertaining to watch, it's really inclusive in a way that doesn't make the competition worse, it's super clear what the goal is and how it's judged. The tournament flows by quickly and it also has a well-established ranking system. Even though there's so much great things about this, combat juggling isn't really authentic to its sport or art. It's really a mix between juggling and fencing, which is cool and all, but from this competition you don't really find out who the best juggler is. But combat juggling, or fight night as it's often called, needs to stay. It's a great addition to the juggling community, and I think every other juggling competition format has a lot to learn from it. So, the IJ might lack a bit in terms of that it's quite unclear what we're actually competing in, and the WJF might lack a bit of entertainment value, and combat juggling lacks a bit in authenticity. So, what if we could combine all the pros of every competition to make a different and maybe better format? I think the answer to this might be Freestyle Battle for juggling. Freestyle Battle is a format where jugglers compete 1 versus 1 in 2 or 3 30-second rounds, where the judges call out a winner by pointing towards who they individually think did the best juggling. They've had this format for many years with Diablo on the European Juggling Convention and other places, and it's always a huge success. We also see it in Battle Night in a lot of places in South America and also Mexico, and this year in the IJ as well, and it's also the main way of competing in football freestyle. But there might be an issue with this format, and that is, what should the judges look for? When making the first ever Norwegian Juggling Championship, we decided that Freestyle Battle should be one out of the 2 main events. But we felt like it needed some more formalization, and that we got inspiration for from football freestyle. There the judges compare each athlete against each other in terms of difficulty, originality, execution, performance and overall. We took that and made it into difficulty, execution, variation and creativity, where the difficulty of the tricks you do contributes the most, so around 50%, and the other 3 categories also contributes around 50% in total. Because in juggling, I personally think that the difficulty of the juggling you do is the biggest factor to determine who the best juggler is. In different sports like running, it's who can run the fastest at a given distance, and in soccer, it's what team can score the most goals. But since juggling is so much more than that, we need other factors than just difficulty to determine who's best. And that's where execution, creativity and variation comes into place. We also made it so that you can only compete with rings, clubs and balls, since these 3 are considered the 3 main props. I personally think this format is great. We had it as an open Norwegian Juggling Championship and it was hype. A lot of different styles and tons of difficult and creative tricks and concepts. You get the performance and creativity aspect from IJ, the difficult tricks from WJF, and the hype factor from combat juggling. But in addition to Freestyle Battle, the second main event we had was a numbers competition. It was competed with balls, clubs and rings for flashing and also endurance. This might sound exactly similar to what they do at the IJ or the WJF. But there's one key difference. For every numbers competition, you could start at any given number of objects. If 4 clubs is your max, you could start at 4 clubs. And each athlete had up to 2 minutes per number of objects and could only move on to the next round if they made a flash in the flash category or a qualify in the endurance category with the given number. And the winner of each of the 6 categories were awarded 10 points, and second place 9 points, and third place 8, and so on. And then we added all of the points for each athlete, which then gave us an overall winner. I think this competition fits really well alongside Freestyle Battle, and that is because compared to Freestyle Battle, numbers juggling is purely objective, and it's juggling in its purest form. You count objects and you count catches, nothing more. And both Freestyle Battle and numbers juggling could be done with only balls or only rings or only clubs instead of as an overall competition if you choose to do so. So those are my thoughts. comment down below what juggling competition format you enjoy the most. I hope you agree and disagree to a lot of what I said so that we can have a good discussion about the place for competition in the juggling community. Please like and subscribe if you want to see more, and if you want to support me even further, you can also become a Patreon. That's it, and thank you for watching.